marvelous Monday. Hey, friends, how are you today? I am Karissa Spann. I'm so excited that you are joining me today. Listen, I'm excited because I'm going to share some information that I know is going to be helpful for a lot of landlords and a lot of tenants. So, if you know someone who is a landlord or a tenant, tell them to tune in right now. But before I get into that, let me just say welcome to all of you who are tuned in by way of Facebook, by way of YouTube, by way of LinkedIn. This is what I do each and every Monday right here on this social media platform at 7:30 p.m. I promise that I'm going to share information and hopefully it will be clear, it will be understandable. So if you have any questions today, please drop it in the comment section and I will respond to all your questions, all of your comments today. So we are talking about the top three reasons for tenants to pay their rent electronically. The top three reasons for tenants to pay their rent electronically. Listen, I've been in the property management industry for almost 3 decades in various capacities. As a property manager, as a property management educator, as a consultant, and many other things. I recognize that sometimes tenants have a challenge paying their rent on time. And so today I'm just going to share three. Of course, there are more than three, but today I would like to focus on the top three reasons for tenants to pay their rent electronically. Listen, if this is your first time tuning in, let me again say thank you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please go over to the YouTube page, smash that subscribe button so that you'll be the first to know when I am live and when I am online. All right. And so, for those of you who are new real estate investors, landlords, or maybe you're looking to get into property management, I promise that you want to tune in each week because every week I share a different topic that I know is beneficial for landlords and housing providers, but also information for tenants as well, because I recognize that an educated rental community is a better community. And I promise that we can do it better when we do it together. One of the things I love to do as a property manager professional, all right, is to make sure that my tenants are educated. I want to make sure that I'm providing a service that it's convenient, especially because we're talking about rent. I want to make it convenient for my tenants to pay rent. And so, if you're a landlord, if you're a housing provider watching, I want to make sure that you have a system that is in place. So, a system is a duplicatable process that can rinse and repeat over and over again, but it's proven to work. Okay. So, again, I'm sharing the top three reasons for tenants to pay their rent electronically. I love to know where you're tuned in from. What area are you watching? Are you tuned in the DC metropolitan area? I know that I have viewers who are tuned in each week from ranging from South Carolina to New York. So let me know where you're tuning in from. And I like to know this information so that I can share information and subject matters that is relative to you and or your tenant. So if you're a tenant and if you have questions, please drop it in in the comments so that I can address that. I don't want to always cater to landlords. I want to make sure that I'm providing information for tenants to, like I said, to make sure that tenants have a better understanding to be an educated renter. All right, because at the end of the day, I want people to be successful, whether it's in landlord capacity or a tenant capacity. And so this is why I do what I do. I enjoy sharing information. It costs you absolutely nothing to show up each week to get this free information. If it applies, great. If it fits, great. If not, listen, put it in your backpack, take it with you. Maybe somewhere down the road, you may need this information. So please share this with somebody, tag someone who is a landlord or a tenant. So thank you for Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. I love and appreciate you all. So again, today, we're talking about the top three reasons for tenants to pay their rent electronically. Here's what I do know about life. It happens to the best of us, okay? And sometimes things don't always work out the way that we hope for, we plan, or anticipate. And so we are now in the season, we are preparing, we're in the spring, right? So we are in this new season. But can you believe it? We are already in the fifth month of the year. Like it's May already. But I recognize that sometimes when the new season come about, sometimes when it's warm, the spring, the summer, sometimes tenants they'll go on vacation and maybe they will forget to pay their rent, or maybe it's delayed because they're doing other things. Maybe they've taken a vacation and they didn't get back in time, or maybe they just need the money for vacation. And so today, the information that I shared, um, it's essentially to help landlords to make it convenient for tenants to pay and make it convenient for owners to receive payment, if that's all right. So listen, throughout many cities and jurisdictions, lots of landlords and housing providers, they rate uh, payment problems as being one of the topmost concerns that they have with tenants not paying their rent. And that's above and beyond eviction, that's above and beyond criminal background checks and all of the things that go into renting property. And so if you are a landlord and if you have ever had a tenant who didn't pay their rent, this is probably something that resonate with you. So you understand that sometimes tenants don't pay their rent or maybe they pay it late. All right. But let's be real. There is a reason. And one of the top reasons for tenants not paying their rent is they simply forgot. All right. So today we're talking about the top three reasons for tenants to pay their rent electronically. Nothing too deep. But one of the things that I do want to share is this: if you are a landlord, if you're a small landlord, or if you're managing rental property for someone else, please consider some of the tips that I'm sharing today. All right. And by all means, if you have questions, drop it in the comment section. I'm not providing legal advice, but I am providing the industry's best practices. Okay. So you can write it down, take your notes, um, email me, inbox me if you have questions. Okay. But let me share my first tip that I want you to know about today. Give me 1 second. Let me pull it up. Let me just say thank you for tuning in. Thank you for showing up every week. I do appreciate you all. So today, uh, some electronic rent payments are convenient, some are a hassle. And so, if you are a landlord or a tenant and you're familiar with electronic payments, well, let me ask this question: do you know of any electronic payment platforms that tenants can pay their rent by way of? I want you to drop it in the comment box today. Whether you're a landlord, whether you're a tenant, you're just watching, you're just a viewer. Are you aware of, do you know of any electronic platforms for tenants to make their monthly rental payment? Please drop it in the chat box. I want to take a look at that today. And as I get into that, I want to share my first tip for today. Um, One of the top three reasons I believe that tenants well, the benefit for tenants making their rent payment electronically is because of this reason. It decreases late rent payments, right? So remember, I shared how sometimes the rent is late, likely because tenants forgot, maybe they didn't remember, maybe they went on vacation, maybe something happened that prevented them from possibly mailing the check or getting a money order. One of the things that I ran into in some rental communities, especially since the start of the pandemic, and even after the eviction moratorium ended, is some senior residents they were not able to get out to get a money order, and so in that case, I had a lot of tenants that asked, "Well, Karissa, can I pay my rent by way of cash?" All right, and so certainly, if you are managing property um, in an environment of property management, whether it's a property management company or you have a building, one of the things that I strongly emphasize is it's so much safer to not collect cash. Sometimes, let's be honest, cash don't always make its way to the bank, right? Sometimes cash may not be deposited, or maybe the cash has been misplaced. And then before you know it, a tenant might be late or get a late rent notice because the money didn't get to where it's supposed to have been. And so that's one of the top reasons why allowing tenants to pay by way of cash is not a good thing, but if you are a small landlord, and you have a process, you allow your tenants to make their rent payments by way of cash, then by all means do what works. All right. But best industry practices, tenants should not be paying their rent by way of cash. Now, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying if you have a system that works, go with what works. But if you're managing rental property, if you're a property management company, you're a property manager, you're managing other people's property, it's always best to not accept cash. All right. So this is one of the reasons, this is one of the benefits rather, for tenants to make their payment electronically. It absolutely decreases late rent payments. Landlords can collect the rent. They know that the money is going to come in. It's going to come in on a designated time. But here's the thing, because online, and I see your comments coming in the chat box. I'm going to come to them in a minute. Thank you so much. Here's the thing, because online rent payment tools, it does enable tenants to deposit money in a landlord's bank account without giving tenants access to the direct bank account. So sometimes when tenants can pay their rent by way of the electronic platforms, tenants don't need an owner's or landlord's bank account information. All right. Payments are transferred directly from the platform that the tenant is using directly to an owner's bank account. All right. And so that's the first tip. So let me go to the comment section, and then I'm going to get into the second point today. Hello, Miss Quick. Thank you so much, beautiful, for tuning in. You said even if they are renting. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So let me go to my uh, second tip for today. All right. And then I have some information I'm sharing for landlords as well as tenants. Okay. So here's the second thing. Here's the benefit for tenants to pay their rent electronically. Here's what happens. It streamlines the business operations. All right. So on average, let's say a tenant would usually pay their rent by way of check or a money order, right? So when a tenant is allowed to make payments electronically, um, it may take 2 to 3 days for the payments to go through, versus the old way. You collect the money order. First of all, you got to wait for the tenant to go and get the money order, right? And then to pay you. You got to get the payment to the bank. So sometimes the payment might have to physically go to the bank. Sometimes um, owners and landlords, they don't have like a merchant account, right? So that means that somebody might have to go to the bank to make the deposit. Or maybe they do have a merchant account. They have a machine, they have a scanner device in the office or on the premises that will scan the money orders. All right, so when you have an electronic platform in place, it minimizes the time that it takes for the money to get to the bank, right? It takes money to run a business. And you know, my philosophy for those of you who have been watching for an extended period of time, if you treat your business like a business, it will pay you like a business. So certainly, I want all owners, landlords, property managers, housing professionals to treat your business like a business. All right. And this way, you know, you understand that it's more reliable than taking a tenant's word that they mail the payment, it's delayed. So let's say, for instance, the rent is due on the first of the month. Okay. And after, let's say, after the fifth, and for some people, the rent is not technically late until the 10th of the month. So whatever your process is, it's no right or wrong, right? It's no right or wrong date for the late payment to be late. But you should and you must identify whatever that date is. So if it's after the fifth, the rent is late, then a late fee should be assessed by the sixth day of the month. So let's say it's the sixth of the month. The tenant, you have not received the tenant's rent payment, but yet the tenant said, "Well, I mailed it before the first. I don't know why it's delayed." Okay, so you haven't received it, and sometimes things happen. The mail has been delayed because of the pandemic. Sometimes tenants have actually mailed it early. Sometimes tenants mail it late, right? So you want to streamline your business operations. All right. So let me go to the comment section, and then I'm coming back to my tip. Okay. So Ms. Quick, you said yes, it does. Absolutely. Absolutely. So you understand. Thank you so much for that. All right, so now let me go to my next tip, because this is important. This is important today. When it comes to the rent payment and allowing tenants to pay electronically, here's what else is a benefit. There is security with rent payment, right? So online rent payment is one of the most secure options for tenants to pay their rent. It's one of the most secure. They pay it directly from their platform. And like I said, it goes from the platform directly to an owner's account. One of the most secure ways, the fastest way for tenants to make their payment online. And online rent payment, it eliminates the concern of a lost payment in the mail, a stolen check, right? And so please consider this. But here is another thing. Let me just give some other benefits of landlords allowing tenants to make the payments online. It saves time, it reduces errors, right? You don't have to worry about a tenant saying, "Oh well, I I made the mistake of not um, sending the correct amount in my money order," right? So it reduces errors, but it also improves communication. So remember, I said we want to treat our business like a business. You don't want to treat it like a hobby because if you treat it like a hobby, it's going to pay you like a hobby. All right. So I mean, it's really a no-brainer. You want to make sure that as a housing professional, like I said, make it convenient for tenants to pay. Don't give them a hassle. Collect the rent, collect it on time, streamline your business operations. Hello, Lynette. Thank you, beautiful, for tuning in from North Carolina. Charlotte is in the building. Thank you. You said you look freaking amazing and so pretty. Thank you so much for that, big sis. I took a page right out of your book today. All right. Okay. So let me share some more information because I want tenants to understand that there are benefits for them as well. Okay. It's not just all about landlords, but tenants can tenants can have some benefits as well. So tenant benefits. Here's the first one. So unlike the old method of paying rent, if you're a tenant, you don't have to worry about going to the bank. You don't have to worry about getting a money order and mailing your payment, whether it's a money order or check to your landlord. Okay. Your second benefit for tenants, online rent payment, it essentially it helps you to avoid late fees. Listen, I hate more than anything to have to give up free money. I like to pay my bills on time. I hate late fees. Why pay a late fee? You're giving away money when you're paying your bills late. And so if you can pay your rent online electronically, that's the best way to do. Now, also, when tenants are able to pay your rent online, here's one of the things that I strongly suggest. Set yourself a payment reminder. So sometimes what I'll do, and because my schedule sometimes is kind of like really hectic, I have to have reminders on my calendar. So if a bill is due, if a credit card payment is due, if one of my car notes is due, or car insurance, or my housing payments are due, I put it on my calendar. And so I'll put it on my calendar. So for instance, if the housing payment is due on the first, I'll do a reminder at least 2 to 5 days in advance and say, "Hey, Karissa, your housing payment is coming up. Don't forget the housing payment because listen, your electric, your gas, your water, those things and those services can be cut off in a tough time. All right. But you always want to make sure that you have a roof over your head. So sometimes tenants, please set a reminder to pay your rent. Don't give up free money by paying late fees, but by all means, if you pay your rent late, remember that if there's a fee assessed, the same way I'm sure you don't want people playing with your money, please don't play. Don't play with landlords' money. Send them the late payment because here's why. Sometimes owners are not rich. I know that a lot of times be like, "Oh well, my owner they'll get it when I give it to them," as if they're millionaires and they can sit around waiting on that rent payment. Some owners legit do live from payment to payment to pay the bills of the property. They may have a mortgage that they have to pay. They may have utilities. They may have to pay insurance and taxes. They may have to pay association fees. And so please don't play with somebody's money. Pay your bills, pay them on time, set a reminder. Like I said, don't give away free money. You pay your rent on time, you don't have to worry about it. Whether your rent is $1 or $3,200 or more, please just listen to some of the tips that I'm sharing today. And then the third tip I want to share for tenants today is this: make it easy as possible. Make it absolutely as easy as possible to settle your financial obligations, to minimize uh, arguments and disputes with your landlords. And so when you're paying online, you are removing, whether it's online or electronically, you can say that, you remove the frustration of having to go through all of those things. And so that's really what I wanted to share today. Um, all right, so Ms. Quick, you said, what about government pay? So, and that's a great question. And so, if, for instance, if a tenant doesn't pay rent and the government is paying the rent, then that's a good thing. Tenants don't have to pay. And usually, when government payments are in place, I still recommend that landlords do it electronically. I know that some are not tech savvy. I do have clients who they just don't want to deal with electronic processes. But I promise you that setting it up electronically, it simply allows you to receive your payment on time. And one of the things that I do recommend for my clients is that if you don't trust an online system, maybe set up a separate account only to receive rent payment, and that is perfectly fine. It doesn't have to be in your general account. It doesn't have to be in your operations account. Maybe just set up a separate account specifically for collecting rent. It doesn't have to be a checking account. It could be a savings account. All right. But that's a great question. Thank you so much for that. Hey, Kay Parker, happy marvelous Monday. You said, how does that work with HUD? Great question. And so, like I just stated, that if a landlord is receiving payments from the government, I strongly recommend getting electronic payments. That way, at the beginning of the month, and it just depends on what type of program that it is. And so, for instance, if it's some sort of subsidized housing program through, let's say, the Section 8 voucher program or rapid rehousing, sometimes the housing authority will have their payment processes might be twice a month. So it might be the beginning of the month or the middle of the month. So it's usually the first and the 15th, but it just depends on the type of program. So let's say a tenant moves in, right? And the landlord misses the deadline to receive payment for the first of the month. So that landlord in that particular case may receive a mid-month payment when they conduct their mid-month check run. That may not be true for all programs, but I do know that some agencies have it set up like that. And so if a landlord has all their information in, they'll receive their payment electronically close to the first or the 15th of the month. Now, if they get a check that's mailed, like a paper check or something like that, well, sometimes payments can be a little delayed. I know that some of my clients, they're on the paper process. They're the paper process, meaning that they get their payment by check in the mail each month. They don't always arrive on time. It might be delayed, right? And so I know that a lot of people, they want their money on time, and so electronically is usually the quickest way. And that's a great question. Thank you so much for that. Okay, Ms. Quick, you said, can you explain what the ARC certificate is they can get they can get it? Yes, I will definitely do that. And you said you pay taxes. Listen, I understand. And a lot of people who pay taxes, they want processes to run smoothly. They don't want any issues. And yes, owners pay taxes, and sometimes tenants, if they work, they pay taxes as well, right? And so they want all those things in place and making sure that it works for them. So subsidized for seniors. Okay, so now there are a lot of programs that are in play and in place for seniors. One of the properties, um, actually, I've worked in several senior communities. There are managed subsidized housing for seniors. And there are so many different programs, but one of the things that I always, put an emphasis on is receiving the rent payment electronically because I get it quicker, it shows up in the bank faster, and I can track it online, right? So I can track usually I know when the payment is made, and in many cases, the payment may hit exactly on the first or before the first of the month. I can go online and see that the payments have been made for all the tenants. I am able to see I'm able to track it. I'm able to see, okay, if let's say for instance, because human error happens, right? So sometimes payments may have been missed where the government agency might have paid for, let's say you have 100 tenants, right? And maybe they paid for 96 and they missed four. So when you have that electronic process, you can see almost right away which tenants they received. You receive payment for, what's missing, and it helps you to stay on track and on top of any follow ups that are needed to make sure that you're getting the money. Okay, so Miss Quick, the ARC certificate, is it good for you? Give me 1 second. Let me look that up. I do apologize because I told you I was going to do that. So give me 1 second. Miss Quick, what area are you in? Please forgive me for not remembering. I think you're in Philadelphia. Is that correct? You're in Pennsylvania area. Um, because I'm in an area where we don't have the ARC certificate in my area. All right. So, and looking that up, I understand that it is a training program. Um, Now, Miss Quick, is the ARC program for you something that you have to pay out of your pocket for, or is it a program that you can go through and you don't pay? Because if you can go through a program, right? Let's say you go through the ARC program, you get the ARC certificate. Um, if it's of no cost to you, I strongly recommend taking the training because um, I believe that the more educated, the more knowledgeable we are, the better. So if it's no cost to you, I see that for some it might be like $400 a person, but I don't know if it's going to cost you that. So you have to weigh, weigh the options. If you have to pay, for instance, let's say Miss Quick, you have to pay out of pocket, right? Ask yourself, is this payment that I'm required to make, is it worth the investment? Whatever it is I'm going to learn, and how can I apply the information that I'm learning with what I'm trying to accomplish. And so you that's something that you have to weigh. um, but again, if it's something, for instance, that you don't have to pay, by all means I would say yes, go ahead, take the training, get the certificate, because you never know how it will work in your favor. So I hope that does answer your question. All right. Okay, you said, are you familiar with one site? I am not as knowledgeable with one site. I have not heard of that. Can you give me a little bit more information? I would definitely look that up, look into it. Yeah, okay, so you are in Philadelphia. Hey Vic, you said electronic payment sounds awesome and convenient. Listen, it is. It is really awesome. It is really convenient. And so I'm going to share um, some platforms that people can use for tenants to make their payment online, and so that payments can be received promptly. All right. Okay, so Miss Quick, you don't pay. So yeah, by all means, please take the class, get your certificate, because like I said, you never know how it's going to benefit you. I promise that knowledge is power, but when you apply the knowledge, that makes it more powerful. So take the course, get your certificate, put it in a frame, go to the dollar store, get you a dollar frame, and put it on your wall to say, I did this. I completed this course. I got my certificate, and let me know. As a matter of fact, send me a picture, do a selfie, and inbox me, and I'll share it with my viewers that you completed your certificate, your training program. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Oh, you do have the certificate. Okay, great. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So, Kay, you asked about the one site program. What area is that in? I'm not in the area where we have the one site program, I don't believe, but I would definitely look into it. Okay, so let me share some of the platforms that tenants can use to make their payments online. All right, let me um, share a few. Okay, so Venmo, sometimes an owner may have to pay um, a service fee for that, but Venmo is available. Uh, Zelle is another great one. Sometimes my tenants will pay Zelle. They'll pay me promptly from Zelle, and it goes directly to my account. Now, depending on the financial institution, whether it's a bank or a credit union, some financial institutions don't allow Zelle payments when you have a business account. Some financial institutions, they'll only allow you to use Zelle when you have a personal account. All right. And you definitely want to speak to your accountant if you're not set up as a business, or maybe you're growing your business because you want to keep those funds separated. You don't want rent payment to come into your personal account. All right. So if you have a business account, try to direct the payments to go directly to your business account. Apple Pay is something, is another good option, right? But let me just also back up. If you're a smaller landlord, you have a few rental properties, and you've been accepting payments by way of sale, it's been going to your personal account. I recommend to just transfer the money to your business account. That way, at tax time, you can show the income that came in. You should be keeping a track of expenses that you're paying. If you have to pay contractors and vendors and things of that nature, because you want to treat it like a business. I mentioned Zelle, I mentioned Apple Pay, but also PayPal. Now, the thing about PayPal, I, mm, I'm 50-50 with PayPal because the fees, they take out a lot of fees when it comes to PayPal. But by all means, check into it, because here's the thing, you could pass that cost on to your tenant. So if it costs you on average maybe 3%, right? You can tell the tenant, well, listen, Mr. and Mrs. Tenant, we will provide you the opportunity to pay your rent by way of PayPal or Zelle, but if there's a fee, a service fee associated, just let the tenant know to pay that extra 3%. So if the rent is like $1,500, just tell the tenant to pay the 1,500 plus 3% of that, and that will cover the cost. You can use Square, you can use Stripe, you can use eCheck, and there are other online rental collection services that will allow tenants to make the payments electronically. All right, so I do hope that this helps, that has helped somebody today. All right. So you said it's a program we use for annual recertification and bank deposits. Okay, awesome. So I am not as familiar with that in Charleston, South Carolina, but I do know that there are a lot of programs in place. And if you are a housing provider and you have a program in place and you have a platform or service that's working, by all means, let it work. Let me know what you're using. Let me know which platforms you're using, because sometimes when I share this information with others, it may it just may educate them, so they'll look into it. All right. So thank you for that. And then absolutely, I don't know how I forgot this one, but thank you. This quick Cash App. Cash App is such a huge platform for tenants to pay their rent. It goes directly from one account to the next account. Um, I have Cash App set up. I have tenants who pay their rent by way of Cash App. I have a business Cash App, multiple business Cash App accounts, and then I also have personal Cash App accounts. So that's another great one. Thank you so much for that, Ms. Quick. So let me just do a quick recap for those of you who chimed in late. And let me again say thank you so much for tuning in. This is what I do each and every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Just sharing information. And today we're talking about the top 3 reasons for tenants to make their rent payments electronically. All right, so okay, so I had a text that came in. Someone has a question, so I'm going to answer that. Give me one moment, but let me do a quick recap. of what I shared with you today. All right, and then I'm going to respond to um, the question that came in by way of text message. All right, so the top three reasons for tenants to pay rent electronically: it decreased late rent payments. Owners and landlords, you want to get paid on time, so make it available, make it convenient for tenants to pay the rent, make it convenient to receive the money. It also allows you to streamline your business operations. I said that if you treat your business like a business, it will pay you like a business. But if you treat it like a hobby, it's going to pay you like a hobby. You can't be wishy-washy. Don't even dabble in that. And then also, it allows tenants to make the rent payment, but it does provide security. All right. So those are the top three things that I shared today. I wanted owners and landlords as well as tenants to know and understand. All right, so the question that came in by way of text is an owner asking if they allow tenant to make rent payment, can they change the platform that they use, or do they always have to use the same method? By all means, you can definitely change it. Just put it in writing and let your tenants know, whether you communicate by way of text message or email, or you do it the old-fashioned way where you send out letters and newsletters. I do all of the above, just depending on where the rental property is. I've been doing this for so long. I want to make it convenient to communicate with my tenants. All right, and so this is one of the things that I emphasize with my clients. Keep an open line of communication. So if you are changing your methods, if you go from one platform, let's say you use PayPal, but you heard this live today, or you watched the replay and you heard me talk about Cash App, and maybe you want to consider Cash App. Let your tenants know that that's an option as well. All right. So I do hope that that helps. Thank you so much for all of your questions. Thank you for all of your feedback. I do appreciate that. Thank you for showing up each and every Monday. And again, this is what I do every week at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I enjoy sharing information. If you are not tuned in, if you're not tuned in weekly, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please head on over to my YouTube channel. Uh, Click that subscribe button. All right. I love and appreciate you all. Thank you for showing up. Let me share my email address in case you have questions. And also, if you have a subject that you would like me to cover in the upcoming weeks, please email me so that I could cover that information. All right. And again, let me know which jurisdiction you're tuned in from so I'll know what information to share. Because from one jurisdiction to the next, the laws are going to be different. The laws are not the same everywhere. Okay. So what applies in South Carolina may not apply in DC or New York or Charlotte, North Carolina or Atlanta, Georgia. That's just how it is. All right. So here is my email address if you have any questions, if you have comments or concerns when I'm not online. Please email me. My email address is carissaspan@gmail.com. carissaspan@gmail.com. I just want to say that Karissa is such a beautiful name. My email address is carissaspan@gmail.com. I thank you so much for tuning in today. Here's my YouTube channel information, so please find me on YouTube. Please like my Facebook page, and thank you for those who are tuned in from LinkedIn. I thank you. I appreciate you. My time is up. I thank you for yours, and I hope and I look forward to you joining me next week. I'm going to log off. I'm going to say bye for now. Hey, Sandy.